Hey, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video because Fannie Mae just announced a downgrade to home sales through 2025 for the US as a whole. They also provide the predictions for housing starts, mortgage rates, and home prices as well for 2024 and also 2025 as well. Hope you guys get a lot of value out of today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. So it says here, unaffordability is expected to remain the primary constraint on home sales. So they're talking about in this article here how we have a lack of housing affordability. It hasn't improved very much at all year. And because of that, there's a lot of people who are not buying houses because home prices and mortgage rates still remain very much elevated. It also says here we're seeing a rise in listings. Likely means that many homeowners are no longer willing to delay moving. There could be some homeowners who wanted to sell 2 years ago, but they saw rates increase from 3 to 5% in less than 6 months. And now rates have been hovering around 6 to about 8% for about 2 years now. So it could be this scenario in which a lot of people or some people who are owning houses just are kind of biting the bullet and selling and getting rid of their 3, 4, and 5% rates. And the data actually supports that, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. Affordability constraints continue to limit the number of buyers willing and able to make home purchases, even as listings of houses for sale are rising. So for example, based on the latest data we have from Realtor.com, just posted on June 27th, new listings are up by 7.4%, and active listings, this is the amount of houses actively for sale right now, a big increase of 36.1% year over year. So we're seeing new listings rising and also inventory levels also increasing by 36%. Now, every market's different. Here is a fantastic snapshot regarding inventory levels this May compared to May of 2019 based on data from Realtor.com. And this is from ResiClubAnalytics.com, a fantastic website if you guys want to learn about housing market trends on a national level, but also some markets as well. So for much of the Northeast, we're seeing a giant decrease of houses for sale compared to pre-COVID levels. In contrast, areas in Phoenix, Austin, Texas, New Orleans, and also parts of Florida, giant increases of inventory from about, 5 years ago already, absolutely crazy. So for example, in Boston, Massachusetts, inventory is down 50% compared to May of 2019, Hartford, Connecticut, down a whopping 79%. I believe that's one of the biggest decreases of inventory compared to May of 2019, which of course is helping support the growth rate of home prices there. Also, Chicago is down by 66%. LA is also down by 45%. Much of California, by the way, is down compared to 2019. So for example, in Sacramento, where I live and work as a real estate agent, we have approximately 37% fewer existing houses for sale compared to 5 years ago. In contrast, Austin, Texas is up by 35%. So the delta on that is about 60 percentage points, right? Austin, Texas exploding regarding inventory. New Orleans up by 9%. Punta Gorda, Florida up by 61%. Phoenix up by 4%. Also, take a look at this. Idaho Falls, Idaho up by a whopping 45% from 5 years ago. That's why I always tell you guys every housing market's different. Just looking at national averages, it doesn't really tell us the full story, right? In any case, getting back to Fannie Mae's latest real estate market predictions, because of these housing affordability constraints, which is making basically limiting the number of buyers willing and able to buy houses, Fannie Mae actually downgraded their total home sale forecast down to 4.82 million in 2024. That includes brand new houses plus existing houses. That represents a modest 1.3% annual decrease compared to the previous projected decline of 2.8%. Home sales have remained weaker than expected despite the recent rise of listings. So we're seeing supply rising, yet sales remaining at very, very low levels, which is implying that overall home buying demand is actually down. And like Fannie Mae mentions, this may indicate as well that many homeowners are no longer willing to delay moving due to the so-called lock-in effect. What I'm personally seeing is that some people are just kind of sick of waiting. you have a 5% rate. The average 30-year fix is around 7%. And some people just have, life circumstances. They want to have a bigger house because they have a growing family. They have a job relocation, a divorce, etc. So I think a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but there is a certain increase of the amount of people listing a house for sale. Again, on a national level, we're up by 7.4% compared to 12 months ago. So therefore, because of this lock-in effect is not as strong as it was 1 year ago. Also, according to Fannie Mae, recent home sale data have also been weaker than previously anticipated, resulting in a modest downward revision in their near-term outlook regarding home sales. So for example, the National Association of Realtors reported about 1 or 2 weeks ago that pending home sales decreased to the lowest levels on record, excluding the onset of COVID. I believe that was back in April of 2020. So excluding that one single month, pending home sales, a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers of existing houses, fell to all-time record lows. And in fact, here's that report right here. Pending sales in May 2024 hit a new low. Actually just posted yesterday. NAR released a summary of pending home sale data showing that May's numbers decreased by 2.1% compared to last month and also fell by 6.6% year over year. This is based on their pending home sale index, which is seasonally adjusted though. So it's pretty remarkable though that even though it's seasonally adjusted, pending sales still decreased compared to April. Also, according to them, pending sales represent houses that have signed contract to purchase the house. So therefore, a pending home sale is a lead indication of closed home sales in the next 1 to 2 months. Also, this is not just one region, right? All 4 major regions posted a decrease compared to 12 months ago. And in fact, the South had the biggest decrease year over year, down by 10.4%. That was followed by the Midwest with a decrease of 5.6%. The Northeast fell by 2.3%, and the West had a reduction in sales down by 2.1%. But wait, there's more, because some other leading indications of closed home sales is this right here. A weekly survey I post or I talk about on the channel. This is from the MBA, looking at the amount of people submitting purchase loan applications to buy houses. So people who would need a loan to buy a house, that index decreased by 13% from 12 months ago. So a lack of contracts being signed, but also a decrease by double digits for applications by houses as well. Let's also take a look at their forecast for mortgage rates as well, because this is a hot topic, right? If you guys are looking to buy a house right now, you want to see rates decrease. If you want to buy a house in the next several years, you want to see rates absolutely skyrocket, causing home prices to fall, right? But their forecast actually got revised downward. It says we revised our forecast downward from the previous month. We now forecast for the 30-year fixed rate to average 6.8% for 2024 as a whole, and down to 6.4% in 2025. However, interest rates remain volatile, particularly given changes to the Fed policy expectations, which adds risk to our outlook. In other words, remember back in, December and January, everyone was talking about how the Fed was going to decrease rates by 4 times in 2024. And here we are in early July, not a single reduction in rates by the Fed. And right now, we're expecting the Fed to decrease rates only 1 to 2 times later this year. Much different compared to the 4 times that was expected earlier this year. All right, let's talk about a summary regarding housing starts, home sales, home prices, and rates through 2025. So let's look at housing starts. This is, of course, the beginning phase in the construction of building a brand new house. So single family houses, which are right here, they're expecting that housing starts of single family houses to increase by 9% this year, and then to increase by 2.4% in 2025. Much different though, looking at multifamily units. So multifamily, of course, are apartment buildings in general to rent out. That decreased by 14% last year. Look at this, 2024. So housing starts of multifamily units to decrease by 27%, then to rise by only 5.1% next year. Of course, this is probably due to the fact that we have, near record high amounts of multifamily units nationwide that are under construction right now. So it makes sense that they're forecasting for a huge decrease of starts this year. Now, in regards to sales, let's look at new single family versus existing home sales. So for new single family, they're calling for home sales to basically be flat this year, then to have a big increase up by nearly 13% in 2025. For existing houses, they're calling for a 1.5% gain in 2024 compared to 2023, and then a big increase up by 8.8% in 2025 compared to 2024. So we're calling for 4,151,000 existing home sales this year, then to increase to 4.5 million next year. So what does this all mean? I put this together for you guys to kind of give you a breakdown. So again, our forecast this year for existing houses, 4,151,000. That would be only a 1% gain compared to last year, and down 22% from 2019 and 2018. Their forecast for 2025 at 4.5 million. That would be an increase of 9% compared to 2024, but still down by double digits from pre-COVID levels. Now, something I caught that I noticed several months ago, which is just absolutely wild to see, 2021, we had 6.12 million existing home sales on a national level. That was a 15-year high. Then fast forward to 2023, only 2 years later, we had a 28-year low. We went from 6.1 million down to nearly 4.1 million in 2023, the fewest number of existing home sales since 1995. Also, the forecast this year at just over 4.1 million is actually a downward revision because last month their forecast was 4.2 million. Now it's just over 4.1. Also, besides last year at about 4.1 million, that would be the fewest number of home sales since 2008. So basically a 16-year low they're forecasting this year. Also, this is only 1% higher than last year's levels, which again was a 28-year low. So just taking a step back here, they're forecasting for only a 1% rise in home sales this year after last year's 28-year low. On top of that, based on my nerdy Excel formula, which is right there, the median number of sales since 1989 is 5,030,000. So we're basically forecasting for about 900,000 fewer this year compared to the long run average. Now, jumping ahead to 2025, they're forecast at 4,515,000. That is a downward revision compared to the previous month. Their previous month, they called for 4,537,000. Now we're just over 4.5 million. This would be a 3-year high in sales, yet we're still approximately 500,000 fewer compared to the long run average of 5 million units. Also, just for comparison's sake, I added this below. Zillow posted this a couple weeks ago. Their forecast for home sales of existing houses, excluding brand new home construction, was 4,120,000. That's approximately 31,000 less than Fannie Mae's prediction. Also, their prediction for home values this year is a small gain of 0.4%. Speaking of home values, let's look at Fannie Mae's predictions for home values through 2025. This, by the way, is based on Fannie Mae's HPI, or their home price index. So overall, in 2023, their HPI increased by 6.6% compared to 2022. The forecast this year is a gain of 4.8% compared to 2023, and an increase further up by 1.5% compared to the previous year. So they're forecasting for home values to increase through 2025. One thing I did notice though is that the growth rate is actually slowing down though. So looking at Q2 of 2024, they're calling for home values to increase by 6.5%. Then every quarter thereafter, a small decrease each and every quarter. So for example, in Q4 of 2025 compared to Q4 of 2024, a small gain up by 1.5%. This is much different compared to 2023. Q4 23 compared to Q4 22, we saw a gain in prices up by 6.6%. Now, 2025, their forecast is only up by 1.5%. Now, in regards to their forecast for rates, they haven't had much fluctuations here because the average rate for last year was at 6.8%, flat this year at 6.8%. Then a small decrease down to 6.5% in 2025, and to end the year at 6.3% in Q4 of 2025. So in other words, big picture here, they're calling for rates to decrease slowly through the remaining of this year and 2025, but not for rates to decrease down to the levels we saw back in 2020 and 21 when the average 30-year fixed rate was around 3%. Now we're more than double that. That's being forecasted through the end of 2025. And because of that, Fannie Mae, and I also believe this as well, will continue to see this lack of home sales on a national level. Every market's different, right? But because of these elevated rates and of course these elevated home prices, that should kind of keep this environment in which housing affordability is still a giant issue for many, causing a lot of home sellers or home buyers to kind of put the brakes on buying a house. What's remarkable to me about this is that we're seeing this low level of home sales, despite the fact we're seeing inventory increase on a national level up by about 35% year over year. That's my biggest takeaway from today's video, but what's yours? Please also comment below with your thoughts regarding today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of today's video, please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you guys want a real estate agent referral, please check out my website, which is realestateteamfinder.com. Hope you guys have an awesome day or weekend, and we'll see you in the next video.